Hello and welcome to the Building Envelope Innovation Prize. This is our Phase 2 prototype informational webinar. So we will get started today. Today with us, we have Robert Hart, who is a technology researcher in windows and daylighting from Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. My name is Rachel Romero, and I'm a senior engineer at NREL. And also with us today is Emily Welp, who's the prize lead at NREL as well. We'll just go through some information today. Today on our agenda, we are going to cover some background about the prize. We will give you all the information you need for phase 2. And then we'll go over a few next steps. So with that, I'll pass it over to Emily to give just a brief background and reminder of our prize goals.
Awesome. Thanks, Rachel. All right, so you all should be familiar with our prize goals. They have not changed since the start of the prize. As we enter phase 2, we wanted to make sure that you all are aware and still aligned with the prize goals. So first, produce high-performance secondary glazing systems for inefficient windows. Improve equitable access to efficient retrofit technologies by reducing product and installation costs, and increase comfort and resilience for buildings. So next, we wanted to orient everyone where we are in the prize. Again, we are in phase 2. So if you are joining this webinar, congratulations again, you have won phase 1. So phase 1 is completed and we are now in phase 2. There will be up to 3 finalists awarded at the end of phase 2, prototype phase. $200,000 will be awarded for each finalist team, and phase 2 will occur over 6 months. After phase 2, our winning teams will move into phase 3, commercialization, which we anticipate taking around 12 months, up to 2 winners. Again, first place with 750,000, and second place with 400,000. Next, we wanted to remind everybody of the eligible SGS technology requirements. So again, you can find these in the official rules for a complete SGS technology eligibility requirements, but wanted to provide a high-level overview. So only SGS products for commercial buildings are eligible for this prize. Only SGS products that target a commercial scale are eligible for this prize, and must meet the minimum requirement performance levels as indicated here in the table. And this table is pulled directly from the official rules, so please go back and reference. And again, this was the same table launched at the start of phase 1. So the equity-focused pilot requirement. Friendly reminder that competitors are required to secure an equity-focused pilot building prior to the phase 2 submission to implement during phase 3. Competitors must secure an equity-focused pilot building that meets at least one of the following requirements. Buildings located within the Climate and Environmental Justice Screening Tool designated and/or DOE designated Justice 40 Census Tract, federally recognized tribal lands, and U.S. territories. Affordable housing and housing occupied by low-income residents. Underserved commercial, nonprofit, and public buildings. Locally defined equity-eligible buildings. So again, this is all defined in further detail in the phase 2 rules, but flagging that this is a requirement and something teams should definitely be thinking about as part of their phase 2 submission. Next, I will pass it over to Rachel to talk about what you need to know for phase 2.
Great. For phase two, just a reminder that there was an update to the rules. This edition was put out in October. And so please go back and see the official rules on HeroX to make sure that you have all of those updates. All right, next, let's just go over the phase two important dates. So obviously, phase two is open. The submission deadline is April 3rd, 2025 at 5 p.m. Eastern. All prototypes must be marked by this date and sent to the designated DOE testing laboratories. We're going to go over that more here. Competitors must email the prize administrator envelope.prize@nrel.gov with your shipping information, also by the April 3rd date. And then you'll upload your phase two submission documents to HeroX by 5 p.m. Eastern on this date. We encourage you to do as much of this as you can prior to the submission deadline to make sure that we have your submission. All right, let's go into what you're going to actually send. So you are going to be sending a total of 3 identical SGS prototypes to LBNL for phase two thermal, air leakage, and optical testing. You're also going to be sending 3 identical prototypes to NREL for phase three durability testing. So 6 prototypes in total. They are all the same product, essentially. Then you'll also be putting together the phase two submission package. And this has a variety of items in it that you'll need to submit via HeroX, and we'll go over that as well. To start, we'll pass it over to Robert at LBNL to share a little bit more about the prototypes.
Thanks. Yeah, go on to the next slide. So yeah, prototype submission. So again, just all competitors are required to submit the identical prototypes and identical for each testing purposes. So 3 identical ones to LBNL, 3 identical to NREL. The only difference between those will be the size. And so that's shown in Appendix A, and we'll show it in a few slides here as well. The configuration of these needs to be consistent with what you intend to do for your pilot installation. So for example, if you intend your product can go on, say, the interior or exterior of the prime window, you need to design for this submission needs to go into that location. So if it's made to go on the outside for your demonstration, the product you submit needs to be mounted on the outside. Finally, I think we've mentioned it before and probably again, that April 3rd date is very important to make sure that these have been submitted by. I can go on the next one. So again, here's a kind of a summary of those differences, right? 3 units going to each location. LBNL will be doing optical testing, thermal testing, and air leakage testing. NREL will be doing durability testing. These are kind of references for all this is shown in Appendix A of the submission packet. Next slide. So the differences, we say identical. This is really the only differences between the products that we should see between ones going to LBNL and NREL is essentially in the height. You can see the width numbers here are the same. It's just the height difference between the products. So that should be really the only difference that we see between the products coming to either site. The shipping information for these will be provided in the new year. So you have the shipping address plus the information that needs to be included with the shipping address will be provided this coming year. Next slide. So a description of those dimensions that were provided on the previous slide or in Appendix A, along with the figure on the left, which illustrate where those dimensions are to. We did have a few questions to the prize administrator about some of the mounting, particularly on the LBNL mask wall. And so you can download now on HeroX an updated drawings that show the LBNL mask wall, and that's shown here on the right. So you have that in PDF and CAD form. Uh, this is essentially a 6-inch wide mask wall. The unit is just mounted in here pretty simply. One thing I do want to note though is that this if your product designed for your particular demonstration installation will not work with this mask wall. Um, that is something you let us know. Again, with the installation instructions, we can adjust our mask wall if needed for your particular product. So if the wall of the building that you're going into has some special requirements, we can accommodate that. We just need to know exactly what it needs to be. We have lots of different mask walls that we can accommodate. So, well, next slide, please. And finally, I just wanted to show what that looked like, this mask wall. We've had some questions about that as well. So you can see on here to the left, here's a couple of these images of the product in our test lab. You can see the window frame, the aluminum frame is just mounted inside this foam mask wall. You can see some cases of kind of tape over some of the sides. This is where previous SGS products have been mounted in the past, and we've kind of sealed over where they had been. So this has served us well for many different installations of SGS products. Again, if yours will not conform to this mask wall, though, please let us know and include that, of course, in your installation instructions, and we can adjust. And finally, on the right here is what our test chamber looks like. So we've had a few questions about that as well. Essentially, it is or kind of three components of the chamber. On the left side, there's a cold climate chamber, which circulates in a kind of cross-flow configuration. The air circulates, gets cooled, and blows up on the outside of the window. There's a warm side chamber, which has essentially natural convection. We call it warm side, but it's really just room temperature. And we have a fan that adds a little bit of heat to the space, or heat or cooling, depending on what's needed. And a very slow moving fan, though, that we've measured essentially gives us natural convection on that side. And in between the two you can see it says specimen plane, and that's where this mask wall goes. So it essentially gets sandwiched in between these two test chambers for our testing. And then we can use various measuring techniques to determine the heat flow through the window. And I think that is all for me.
Thanks. That was great information. Appreciate it. All right, let's go into your submission package for phase 2. It does include a variety of pieces, and so we'll go through each of these now. Starting with your 90-second online public video. So as stated, this is public. All of this information I'm going to share here is in the rules and in the updated rules, so you can see it there as well. This is a little bit about your team and your solution, and do anticipate that this will be shared publicly. And so what would you like to share about your organization, your key team members, and why this product is compelling? Then the next item is your one-page cover page. This is in PDF format. And you'll include very similar information to what you did in your original submission in phase 1, and make any updates for phase 2. Next, you will do a summary slide. This could be public. This is not scored. Again, a slide submitted as a PDF. And contains technically specific details, but can be understood by most people. We do not provide a template for this, so feel free to submit what you'd like there. Next, you have your updated engineering drawings. This should be engineering drawings that are reflected in your updated prototype design. So whatever you have shipped to LBNL or NREL, you'll want your engineering drawings to reflect that. So a single product that you anticipate using in the equity-focused pilot as well, and as you submitted for your prototype for phases 2 and 3. Same format as previously, we recommend you include therm and window files if possible, and can be in PDF and the .dxf or .dwg files. Please zip all files into one folder with a max file size of 50 megabytes. That will not be public, but it will be scored. All right, next we start our technical narrative. This is not to exceed 15 pages, and your team will answer these 5 questions. How is your team evolving to be successful? What are the unique technical aspects of your SGS product? How does the product meet installation and manufacturing goals of the competition? How do you plan to commercialize your SGS product for the retrofit market specifically? And how will this product interact with your equity-focused pilot that you'll be completing in phase 3 potentially? There is more detail in the rules for each of these questions and the information that the reviewers will be looking for, and this will not be made public, but will be scored and is a required document. Next, we have the prototype installation instructions. These are detailed step-by-step instructions on how to install the SGS product. These are not scored, but they will be used by both of the testing labs to install your product. There is an optional instruction video, and that's not to exceed 10 minutes. That instructional video is not required, but may be helpful for installation purposes. Next, we have the desired testing control algorithm. So you can specify the algorithm for prototype testing by the testing laboratories. This is a PDF not to exceed 5 pages. This is not required. It is not scored, and it is not public. So this is, I guess, an ability to give directions to the testing laboratories for your SGS product. Next, we have letters of committed pilot. This is a requirement. This is a very important piece. It is scored and it will not be made public. But this is a pilot partner who has committed to doing your equity-focused pilot, and a team will not be eligible to win the competition if this requirement is deemed to be unfulfilled. So you will not be able to change your partner between phases 2 and 3 without prior authorization from the prize administrator. And NEP and DOE will get a NEPA review and a NEPA determination for this pilot. So if the NEPA review comes back as not achieved, the competitor may be responsible for finding an alternative appropriate site. And so you can see more of that information in the rules. Next, we are going to talk about how phase 2 is scored. Emily?
Great. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, so I'm going to break down some of the components Robert and Rachel mentioned in a high-level overview relating to scoring. Again, all of these scoring for both the prototype, the physical prototype, and the prototype submission are in greater detail in the rules, so please do reference the rules for that official scoring criteria breakdown. High level here for the physical prototype scoring criteria. So the prototype will be scored on 3 types of criteria, all equal weights of 48 points possible. Construction quality, ease and quality of installation, and energy and carbon savings over the baseline window. The total prototype scoring possible points is 144 points. The phase 2 submission package. So on the left-hand side here is all the elements Rachel just went over, and on the right-hand side are the points possible. So just flagging that the video, the engineering drawings, the narrative, and the letters of committed pilot will all be scored for 246 possible points for the submission package. So you received or have seen a version of this question in your submission form for phase 1, and we will ask it again for phase 2. So this question is really important to receive that cash prize award. So should you win phase 2, please ensure that the legal entity the legal name of the individual or the entity you wish to receive the payment is indicated in this field on HeroX. This should match the name of line 1 of your W-9 exactly. So please take extra care to review this before submitting because oftentimes there will be delays should this be an incorrect entity identified. So with that, I'm going to continue on here to talk very quickly about phase 3. The big thing for phase 3 that we wanted to emphasize is that only the phase 1 and the phase 2 rules are official prize rules. So the current phase 3 rules that are released to you all now are in draft form, and they may be altered following the competition of phase 2. So please do review the phase 3 rules and take a look and know what is coming, but be prepared that the official phase 3 rules will be released before phase 3 opens. All right, so lastly, we're going to wrap up here with some next steps. If you haven't already, please follow the challenge on HeroX. Read the official phase 2 rules. Of course, you can reach out to us at envelope.prize@nrel.gov with any questions throughout the process. And then lastly, don't forget to submit your phase 2 submission by April 3rd, 2025 at 5 p.m. Eastern. So we will post this recording and these slides onto HeroX in the coming weeks. And with that, we wanted to thank you all for taking the time to listen, and we wish you good luck with your phase 2 submission. So please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions throughout the process.
Thanks.